Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of Post Fight. And in this edition of Post Fight, I'll be doing Post Fight, UFC Fight Night, Holloway versus Zombie, or you could say UFC Singapore. And how did I do for this card? I did phenomenal. I did 11 in 2 or 11 of 13. So a very good card. Not a whole lot went wrong. So this video is going to be very short. But yeah, phenomenal card. No need to be humble about it. No need to be like, oh, it was okay card. I got a lucky breaker. No need to do that. It was a good card. It was a phenomenal card. And want more and more of that. And I've been on a consistent streak. I don't know for how long. I feel like I've been on a consistent streak for like maybe this whole month and last month. But I don't know. I could rewind back and check later on. But or is it really even need that? Just focus on this card in particular and just keep going from here and building on what I'm building on. But yeah, phenomenal card, 11 and 2, 11 and 13. And now to the theme of this video, focusing on the L's and how do I get better, where did I go wrong, and yeah, how can I get better from these L's and what can I learn from these L's that I took. So I took 2 L's on this card. The first L, not really a whole lot to take from it. I mean, I could learn about each fighter a little bit, but it was a low confidence pick on Jarno Evans in here. It wasn't like, oh, I went high or low confidence with Jarno Evans. So again, it's not really a whole lot to think about that. What's his name? Jarno Evans, who did he fight? He fought he fought Soo Choi, and Soo Choi was on like a 3-5 losing streak, not looking very good, looking very predictable. Jarno Evans had moments where he looked good and like he was going to be able to get the finish or win the fight, but ultimately he didn't win it. A low confident pick, so I think it was a good pick given all things. He was a plus money going in with a guy who was on a 3-5 losing streak. Jarno Evans looked like a pretty solid fighter. He didn't look like no phenom or no great talent, but he looked good enough to be able to beat declining or downward trending Soo Choi. So going low confidence and leaning him in that situation is not a bad pick, and I would make it not exact situation because obviously you had to see the future and pick what you saw in your vision or what you saw in the future. But similar setup, I'll pick that. And I feel like in a similar setup, a lot of times the guy that's in Jarno Evans' position is going to win. So I don't feel too bad about that. Or it's like I don't feel bad at all about that one. I think it was a good pick given everything there. It just didn't pan out. So yeah, it's not like it was a bad stylistic match or this and that. Yes, peak for peak or whatever the case was, clearly Soo Choi is the better fighter. You talk about, but again, I was catching Soo Choi on a downtrend, so that was not a bad prediction or whatever, given everything that was centered around that fight in time it was taking place. But also, yeah, ain't gonna focus on that one too much. Matter of fact, I only got 2 L's, so what am I gonna focus on? There's only 2 L's. So anyway, yeah. So next fight, in the final fight, we had Kenan Song versus Rolando Bedoya, and this is a bad L, to be honest. Is it really bad? No. I feel, in my honest opinion, I feel like Rolando Bedoya clearly won, in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. You could debate with someone else, but that's my opinion. You want to say, this and say that, yeah. But at the end of the day, also it goes with my opinion. My opinion is not the judges, so what the judges see is ultimately what happens. So it could be cases where I get away with bad decisions or decisions I don't agree with, or like I don't agree with the decision, I get away with like, yeah, I felt that dude lost, but I picked him. I'm glad he got away with that. Or that clearly could have went the other way, but I'm glad it leaned my way. And there's cases where I'm like, man, that should have went my way, and then it goes the other way. It happens. Like it wasn't not too long ago. Was that like last week? Cub Swanson got away with one, so like it happens. And there's been plenty of times where I got away, by the hair of my chinny chin chin, and got away with stuff I should haven't got away with. So I could be mad about it. I could be this about it or not about it. But at the end of the day, it's part of the game, and focus on how you can prevent that. What could you do to prevent that L? Like it's definitely much stronger picks, much better picks that are truly high confidence, truly low confidence, are truly deserving of that. But this one, in my honest opinion, like hindsight's 2020 or hindsight's 40-40 or hindsight's 90-90. Bedoya had not had a win in the UFC. Yes, he looked good against Chaos Williams in a loss on short notice or whatnot, but you can't really start cashing tickets to actually win. Like, did he win the fight? Guys look phenomenal at times in losses, but then they go on a 3-5 losing streak and they out there the next day. So like you could look good in the loss, but it's much better to look to win at the end of the day than to lose by any means. Win by any means is always better than to lose by any means, typically. That about 99.9% of the time, to win by any way, it's better than to lose by any way. You win on a robbery, you win by injury, you win by DQ, versus you fight your heart out and you get robbed basically, or you get caught by a glancing punch or something happens. Because at the end of the day, you can't get that win bonus for losing. You might get a fight tonight, but and also don't advance you, just keep you stuck in. Yeah, there's a million different reasons. A win is a win, no matter how it's packaged. But yeah. So he had a win in the UFC. He's 0-1 in the UFC. Now he's 0-2 in the UFC. And I mean, you can probably go average confidence, like a good average confidence, but don't go high confidence in like it's been a mistake I make every now and then, or maybe more than I should. Where like, so it's not like something new. I mean, at this point, you predict 1,000 fights and tens of thousands of fights, or whatever the case may be. It's gonna be certain patterns that happens, and a lot of times you're gonna keep falling to the same pattern. I mean, sometimes it's gonna work for you, sometimes it's not. But yeah. This is not all that uncommon of a mistake or a pothole that I can fall into, because yeah, put a lot of confidence, not a lot of confidence, so that's good, but high confidence into a fighter who had not even had a win in the UFC yet. Yes, he was going in there with Keenan Song, who had been getting mixed up. Keenan Song did have one moment against Ian Gary, which is a big moment for him. So that was like in anyone, to be honest, but he had a big moment. But other than that, he got picked apart by Ian Gary. I mean, he won the first round, but other than that, he got dissected by Ian Gary. But Ian Gary is clearly on a whole different level than pretty much anyone that was on this card. Pretty much. So, what does that mean? So, yeah, to focus on this L, maybe high confidence should not be reserved. Well, should be reserved for people that have a lot working for them. A lot of confidence is like a different thing. This was high confidence, but high confidence should be reserved for probably a fighter that actually has some real momentum. Not just, oh, my momentum is the fact that I look good in a loss, but I actually have a momentum. Like maybe I was on a streak of like 3, 4, 5 fights in the UFC. Then I lost a very close, controversial split decision or something. Then that momentum might still be something. Versus like I have not yet got a win in the UFC. This is my second fight since debuting. I'm 0-1 in the UFC. Yes, I look good, but did I win? No. And that can't be enough. Unless maybe it's a case like this guy's a real Holloway BJJ black belt. And this guy got no submission defense at all. Every guy that has a black belt taps him out, like Neil Magny or something. Or I don't know, something like that. Maybe that'd be a case. Or this guy has 100% takedown defense and knockout power, and this guy has only BJJ and like no hands at all. Maybe like perfect stylistic matchups. Then that might be a case to warrant high confidence. But you don't have the backing of like actual wins and a resume inside the UFC, then you can't really be trusted to be high confident. And that's probably where I can learn from it. But again, I feel he won, but at the end of the day, my opinion don't really matter on that. And all I can do is try to avoid the pitfalls of like, where could I have looked at that differently? I do feel like he was the right pick, based on everything going in there. And I do feel like he's a solid fighter. But it's a lot of fighters that come out there that look solid and look like this and look like that and look like the next great slice of bread, and then the next great slice of bread, and then they just can't get wins together. This guy that looks sloppy as a mug, and they stay in the UFC. Like, how does Scrub stay around in the UFC? He's so sloppy, got no chin, he's trash, but he's sticking around the UFC. This guy like Bruce Lee, he got black belts and everything. He's a world kickboxing champion, this world, that, and everything. Like, but can't get a single win in the UFC. So it happens both ways, and that's why I say at the end of the day, it's better to win than to lose, because there's a lot of guys that look super phenomenal but can't get wins, and this guy that look like anybody on the street could beat them up and looks to be deceiving, and then they beat that guy and they stick around the UFC for many years and like even sometimes get close to title shots or fight for titles or whatnot. But it is what it is. So again, that's probably my thing to learn from that, or try to stick by that, is don't really invest too much or get too much behind a guy that hasn't yet proven himself to the full degree, like by actually getting the win. It may be streaking with it, unless it's a case where it's really a perfect stylistic match. So unless it's a perfect stylistic matchup, kind of got to lean to actually having a resume and some real true momentum, some real true status, instead of just like, oh, I look good in a loss and I'm 0-1. Like, that's not good enough. That probably is good for a good average confidence, but should not ever be a high confidence. But watch me make that mistake probably next week or another week. But I don't think I'll be making that next week. I think maybe a week after, but it's something I got to work on. And I have gotten bitten a couple times by that. But ultimately, don't feel like it was a bad prediction or lean, but ultimately it wasn't the correct one because he lost. And that's all that really matters. Who won, who lost, he lost. And just got to make the adjustments to be better next time, and the next time after that, and time after that. And now I'm just gonna focus on the main event for a little bit and then wrap this video up. So yeah, good win for Max Holloway. Great career for Korean Zombie. You know, he was able to fight for the belt twice. He picked up a lot of good wins over his long MMA career. Great fighter. So was Max Holloway. And Max Holloway did what he had to do. And yeah, he went out there, put him away. It was a great fight from start to finish. It probably could have went to decision. Probably could have been a different fight. But I think Korean Zombie just wanted to go out there and give it his all and win. He probably felt like, I ain't going to outvalue this Max Holloway. I got to go out there and make it a fight. That's my only path to victory. And he just pretty much got into that, and it turned out to make it a very exciting fight, but a very, well, not very, I mean, not a, well, I was about to say a very exciting but very short fight. It was not short because it ended in the third round, so it was a decent length to the fight. So, but it wasn't a fight where, you know, you get your typical Max Holloway 1,000 punches decision type fight. It was like, nah, like he forced Max Holloway to like sit down in the pocket and throw shots and trade. So he brought out a different fight for Max Holloway. I've never seen Max Holloway's hands look that heavy, but that's probably because no one has ever pressed him and forced him to like, you gonna hit me and I'm gonna hit you, that type of thing. Like, Korean Zombie, Chan Sung Jung forced that out of him. Like, we're gonna sit here, we're gonna swing, and we're gonna hit each other. Ain't gonna be no sticking behind a jab and kicking and dancing around. We're gonna meet in the middle, and I'm gonna force you into that type of fight. So it forced Max Holloway to have the plan, and I guess Max Holloway has much more power than we realize. Because maybe this is the style he fights at, the economical style he fights at. But when he really needs to sit down, he can sit down. And maybe that's something he can, I don't know, if he does get a fourth Volk fight, which I don't think anyone wants to see, maybe that'd be another avenue for him because he doesn't really sit down on his punches. But yeah, but we don't want to see that fight. I want to see Max Holloway really go up to 55 and adjust himself to that weight class. And I think he can go far and potentially be a champion at that weight class, potentially. But, you know, obviously you got the Islam Makhachev up there. That's a big if, because it's not the greatest stylistic matchup for him, but we shall see. But I definitely think at 45, the weight cut's becoming harder for him. And he's already 0-3 versus Volk. So there's really not much there for him unless maybe hoping some other guy finishes Volk and then he can beat them and be like a stylistic match that favors him. But a lot of big ifs. Like, Volk seems like he's holding onto that belt pretty tight. Ilia Topuria probably has the best chance of beating him. But we don't know how it's going to shape up. I said shake up. We don't know how this is going to shape up because it could very well end up Volkanovski getting a second shot at Islam Makhachev and then the belt being held up. But who knows? Maybe they cause Volkanovski to vacate the belt and Max Holloway can potentially become the champion again by fighting for a vacated belt without even having to fight Volkanovski. But we shall see. Great performance for what am I even talking about? Great performance from Max Holloway. And I'm always excited to see him fight. He's a very fan-friendly, very high-level, skilled everywhere. And hard to say, you know, hard to even really try to pick out a boring fight from his career at all. Like, so all those fights he has, and where am I even going with this video? I'm all giving this like stuff like he had the Hall of Fame introduction. I can't even speak English. Now he's at the Hall of Fame, his Hall of Fame induction. I'm trying to highlight his career. Like, this, get to your point in the video. So yeah, good win for Max Holloway. Great career for Korean Zombie or Chan Sung Jung. And for Max Holloway, don't know where he really goes from here, but he could be a very high level gatekeeper. Like, well, he's not even a gatekeeper. He could be a very high level troll, I guess. Because a gatekeeper, I would say gatekeeper, I wouldn't even call a former champion, especially a former champion that's still pretty much the second, matter of fact, is the second best guy in the weight class. I wouldn't call them a gatekeeper. I feel like, even though they might act as a gatekeeper, it's like they're a different tier of gatekeeper. They're like a Lord of the Rings troll, like an 8-foot, 12-foot, 40-foot, 90-foot troll that already got the gold, and now they're just crushing people for the fun of it, basically, or for some other purpose. Whereas other gatekeepers, like people that can't win the belt, like Dustin Poirier or something, or like Chet Congo back in the day, or some people, like, no insult them, but it's the truth. Y'all gatekeepers. Or, I don't know, Yushin Okami. I'm giving all these old fighters from like 2007 and 8 and stuff, but I'm trying to get people more recent. But anyway, that's a whole nother video, or a video I'm not even gonna make. But yeah, he's definitely not, I wouldn't call him a gatekeeper. He's something different than a gatekeeper. And that's the video. So again, I went 11 into 11-13, phenomenal card. And let's keep this phenomenal motion and movement and this excellence continuing on forward, and let's ride it out, and let's do something with this excellence and like really capitalize on it. And yeah, that's the video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and come back more. I can't even finish my outro. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.